Good evening and good afternoon, good morning, depending on your time zone. Welcome once more to NJENJETV, and this is the State of the Nation series. As you are aware, NJENJE Media for over a long time now has been having this State of the Nation series to speak to opinion molders, to speak to policy makers regarding issues concerning the nation. Today, being the 15th of May 2022, we will be having a conversation on the topic PDP Jettisoning zoning. What are the legal implications? And as you all know, there are legal actions already taken, and its implication for the 2023 elections. To do this and have this conversation this evening with me, I have the privilege of having Right Honorable Ike C Ibe. He is a member of the People's Democratic Party, and he is also the former Speaker of the Imo State House of Assembly. Again, he has taken the PDP to court on issues bordering around zoning, which he will disclose to us today. Honorable Ike C Ibe, you're welcome to NJENJE Media TV.
Thank you very much.
Now, I have a second guest here, a face many of you who are great listeners here would have come across. That is, in the person of Marcel Ngogbehei. Marcel Ngogbehei is the Director of Strategy and Mobilisation, Peter Obi Support Network, POSN. Marcel, you're welcome to NJENJE Media TV.
Thank you so much, Maazị, and thanks for having me.
Now, gentlemen, let's kick the ball rolling. And I do have very interesting guests here. I may have the privilege of naming them afterwards. Here in this conversation are Nigerians of note, and I recognize all of you. Many of you also that are people we've known over the years. Now, let me quickly go to Ike C Ibe. My brother here, Honorable. Now, last week, we read in the newspapers that you have taken the People's Democratic Party to court, and that you have also secured a date of hearing, that is the 1st of June 2022. Now, may you please tell us here why and what informed that decision to take the party that you belong to court?
Well, thank you very much, Maazị, and good afternoon, viewers. Yes, I filed a matter in court, Federal High Court, Abuja, asking the court to enforce the PDP's constitutional provision that is explicitly enshrined in the party's constitution about rotation and zoning of party and public office elections in Nigeria. This is a practice that PDP has been adhering to over the years with respect to both party positions and candidacy for public elections. And so all of a sudden, PDP decided to discard this constitutional provision of the party and decided to throw the race open to all sections of the country, contrary to what it has practiced in the past. Yes, I'm a member of the party, and we've made representations to the party to continue to abide by its constitution, only for the party to officially say it will not, that is, for want of a better expression, the party, by opening its presidential ticket race to all sections of the party as against the principle of rotation and zoning in the constitution, has decided to flout its constitution. Yes, being a member of the party, I'm conscious of the party's unity, I'm conscious of the party's integrity, and I'm also conscious of the party's ideas of carrying every section of the country along. So, and that is why I went to the court to ensure this party's practice continues so that the party does not explode now or in future, and also to make sure that whose turn it is now for the rotation to favor, which is the South, and by implication for the zoning to favor, which is Southeast, for them to have a say. Being also a lawyer, I'm a stickler for justice. I'm going by what the party's constitution says, that in pursuance of the party's policy of rotation and zoning, and in pursuance of equity, justice, and fairness, the party will continue to adhere to its constitutional provision about rotation and zoning. And also says, the operative word is shall, that the party's executive committee at all levels shall enforce, that is the word, shall enforce this policy of zoning and rotation. This is what the party has been doing. So now the party feels it is not necessary to continue with that practice without first amending the constitution before now. So that is why we went to court, one as a party man and also as a lawyer who believes in justice, and thirdly, as a Southerner and a Southeasterner who believes it is their turn now to get the ticket of the party. So that's why we went to court.
Now, yes, thank you for that information. Now, let me take you a little bit back. Of course, you are from the Southeast. You've been in the PDP, and also you have acted as the Speaker of Imo State House of Assembly. Now, what that means, why I read this out, is to say that you're not, in the Nigerian parlance, to say you're not a small meat. That means you may have some ideas, one or two things that has happened or that is happening within your party. Would it then be fair to say, or rather, let me put it this way, are there things you think that might have influenced your party to throw this open? Yesterday, we had Atiku Abubakar, who on Channels TV, when he was defending the tweet that he deleted, in the same video, he said something very striking, that he also believes in zoning, however, that the party has left it for so long that he would advise the party, if they want to zone it, they should zone at least 6 months ahead of time before people bought tickets. Aside that argument being espoused and driven by Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, as a party member who is also well known within the party, do you think there are more to this than?
Well, I mean, there could be more to this, but quite frankly, I don't support the idea that the party has jettisoned zoning and rotation for a long time. No, the party has not. Even in the last cycle of elections in 2019, the party made a definite pronouncement in accordance with its constitutional provisions that the presidential ticket of the party was zoned to the north. That was why only His Excellency Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, His Excellency Governor Tambuwal, His Excellency Governor Bukola Saraki, those were the only people who ran for the presidency of the party in 2019. The people who were interested from the South dropped their ambitions because of the party's practice and constitutional provisions. Secondly, even if there were reasons, extenuating circumstances why the party has to jettison zoning, it cannot be done arbitrarily. It has to be done also in accordance with the party's constitution. The party's constitution has to be amended first. The reason why constitutions, laws, and regulations are made is to ensure an orderly society, to reduce chaos in the society. If people wake up,
Go ahead. I'm just trying
if people wake up overnight and just take decisions according to their whims and caprices without taking statutory steps to ensure that the decisions they make will become legal, then it's of little consequence. So part of our grouse is that the party before now, if you wanted to jettison zoning, no matter what the reasons are, even if the reasons came up yesterday, the party has its channels of amending the constitution. The constitution could be quickly amended, and the populace giving and members of the party giving the reasons why the party's constitution has to be amended. If this is not remedied, if this is not corrected, if this impression or step is not corrected, it has the potential of creating tension in the party. And it also has a potential of creating disunity in the party. It also has a potential of alienating some sections of the party which I belong to. So I'm not worried about the party making some decisions for the interest of the party. Of course, this is part of what I'm doing, but the right things must be done. Proper steps, legal steps must be adopted so that everybody sees in black and white that no section is cheated out of what is legitimately due to them.
Okay, I would, before I get to Marcel, that is the next guest. But let me quickly, if I may here, show something. And here before me is the PDP, constitution in question.
Yes.
And I think section 3C here says, adhering to the policy of the rotation and zoning of the party and public elective offices in pursuance of this principle of equity, justice, and fairness. I think here is the real meat, if I'm not mistaken. And again, and it says here, the policy of rotation and zoning of party and public elective offices. So what it then means, when this then talks about the party elective offices, in this case, it means that the presidency of Nigeria is elective post. So it's not after the election. That means it is post, pre-election as well. Isn't that the case?
Well, I wouldn't say it is post-elections, because for you to be elected the president, you have to be a candidate of the party first. So that is a prerequisite. The party does not have the capacity. Once presidents are elected, the party will not come back and say, okay, even though this person has been elected from here, let us zone it to another zone. No. There's a saying that says, without Good Friday, there is no Easter Sunday. For you to be a president, you have to be a candidate of the party. And this is what the constitution of the party talks about, elective offices. Before you become eligible for election, you must be sponsored by a political party. So it is that ticket of the party that is what is contemplated in the party's constitution as to rotation and zoning, not the Aso Rock seat itself, because that will come after you have been nominated by the party.
Okay, that's fair. So let me bring in Marcel here. Marcel, you are the Director of Strategy and Mobilization, the P2B Support Network, the POSN. Now, I am aware that the POSN has also taken to the media condemning this act. Did you do that to represent your principal, whom many feel is the front runner as regards to 2023, who also is in this race for presidency of Nigeria come 2023?
Okay, thank you, Maazị. And the question you asked will really help clarify a lot of things. Now, the P2P support network is an ideology, and we usually tell people that this is beyond P2B. Okay, and why do we think it's an ideology? It is a platform that had come in place to mobilize people and give citizens the relevant leadership in order for them to participate in influencing leadership at every level in the country. So it is beyond P2B himself. We have only used P2B because we align with his characteristics as a person and our 4 cardinal objectives about prudent governance, responsible leadership, progressive policies, and citizens focused initiatives. Anything you're doing has to be citizens focused. We've only used that because we know that when we look at P2B's antecedent, he has aligned to our objectives. So that's why we came out as P2B Support Network and POSN. So it is a movement and an organization that is beyond P2B. Now, as regards our position on this, we as a movement are encouraging Nigerians, because what usually happens in Nigeria is that we have this mosaic mentality where we think that whatever people at the top leadership do is correct. And what we are saying is that you as a citizen, as a Nigerian, you have a right to challenge them because they are representing you. So if there is a document that has set out the modus of operandi between you and them, it is expected 100% that they are to adhere to that document and that policy. So if they go against it, you have a right to challenge them. So what we have done is to call on the political actors, and I'm very happy retired Honorable Ike stood up to that call. We have called political actors to say, challenge this. It is your right that is being violated. Now, if we look at the PDP as a political party, from 1999 till date, they have practiced zoning. And the zoning means that a particular region in the 6th geopolitical zone, north and south, are given the exclusive right to say, okay, we have now come to a consensus that this should go to this. Now, people should not misconcept, they should not mix zoning and consensus. Consensus is zoning, zoning is consensus. So when we come together to agree that as part of our party policy, we have reached a consensus that this, in adhering to our party constitution, that this should go to the north. Everybody adheres to it. Now, you cannot be practicing that since 1999, and all the regions have been agreeing to that. So when it comes to a particular region, other regions stay aside. When it comes to regions, then it now comes to the, in quote, the time of a particular region, you simply want to throw it away. And we're telling people, challenge it.
So
and don't be okay.
You're calling Nigerians and well, rather you're calling members of the PDP to challenge this.
Yes.
Do you, as P2B Support Network, have the intention of also going to court to challenge it?
Okay, what we have said in our press release is, if Nigerians have refused to challenge it, we will step in. We have members of our organization who are PDP members, and we have spoken to them. We have sensitized them enough, and they are ready to go. So if that call we made through our press release, asking especially the top aspirants, we mentioned top aspirant. We said that you aspirant in the southern region, this is your right that is being taken away. Because if I'm a presidential aspirant, and from 1999 being a member of a party, and I wanted to contest in 1999, you tell me no, that I should step down because it is the turn of the southwest region, and I stepped down. And then I wanted to contest in another elective year. You told me no, step down. It is the turn of the north, and I stepped down. And I wanted to contest another time. You told me no, step down. It is the turn of this group, and I stepped down. And now when it now gets to when we should say it is the turn of this person, I say no. Let's not make it the turn of anybody. Let's not make it. Let's throw it open. How do you want me to feel? So we're also telling PDP they are setting a very dangerous precedence, because once you have opened up a line, it simply means that you cannot go back. So PDP has two options. Either they go back to, adjust their constitution and pass a resolution that zoning is no longer in their constitution, adopt a new constitution, or they adhere to the constitution. It's as simple as that. And as long as they are still keeping that constitution and moving ahead with this illegal neck decision, we're telling people to simply challenge it. And if PDP members did not challenge it, P2B Support Network with other coalition group will definitely challenge it. And I'm happy that retired Ike Ibe has stepped up. And Oga, thank you so much. We appreciate your efforts, and we will do everything from P2B Support Network to support you and mobilize Nigerians behind you to see that we see this to the end. And Njenje, I've also made it clear. People will say, oh, you shouldn't challenge it because it's going to affect PDP. Do you know what I tell people? If the house you built has become useless to you, what do you do to that house? You demolish it. It's as simple as that. So if PDP wants to become useless to itself, we are telling the people that are involved to do the right thing, challenge it. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much.
Yes,
Maazị, hold on. Let me
add one.
I'm coming back to you.
Okay.
Okay, let me allow you, if you need to respond to what he said, then before I have
Yes. What I wanted to add to what my colleague said is, even if now the party has made pronouncement that there is no zoning and rotation again, it cannot even go back now and amend the constitution to justify the position they've taken now, because you cannot shift the goalpost at the middle of the game. That is illegal.
Exactly. That would be retrogressive. Yes. That would be retrogressive, and that will cause more problems. But now, there is an interesting point in the case you've taken, which is that that case, I thought it would have been actioned as an accelerated hearing. What then happened that the case is being assigned a date of June 1st?
Yes.
If that be the case, I thought that the PDP convention is coming up on the 30th. So
that's correct.
So if that be the case, isn't that medicine after death. You're gone to court, but no judge is willing to hear your case until after that. So what could be the implication? Could it be that if your case goes ahead and perchance you win the PDP, that means PDP could be walking into 2023 with no candidate?
Absolutely. That is a kernel. Yes, first of all, the court has indeed granted us a accelerated hearing because we did put in a motion for extreme urgency of the matter. But the court still has to work within its rules. You still have to give a certain number of days for the defendants to file their paperwork. And the court has done that. The case has actually started and set for June 1st for hearing. Yes, whether the convention takes place this week or next week or after June 1st, it doesn't affect the hearing. That even puts the party in a tough situation because at the end of the day, if the court rules that the party did not obey its own constitution, the court can rule that whatever process that resulted from the action the party did was null and void. I mean, that has happened recently in the case of George Mogalo and Mr. Anduba in Anambra State, in the APC governorship tussle in Anambra State. At the end of the day, last week or 2 weeks ago, the Supreme Court ruled that APC did not follow its guidelines and its constitution in electing its governorship candidate, Anduba, and therefore that Anduba was not a candidate in that election. So I don't think my party wants to go through that route. That is why I'm saying part of the reasons for this, my case, is also to make sure that the party does not self-destruct, that the party does not score an own goal or explode by the action it has taken. So it is in the best interest of our party, of which I'm very proud of and a strong member, to do the right thing. However they want to do it, the party can still maneuver the position they've taken without necessarily going back to seek to amend the constitution, which will be fruitless. The party can still take a caucus and insider decision to save this party by making sure that a Southeasterner emerges or a Southerner emerges as a candidate. That way, the party will have a legitimate candidate.
Okay, let me put it this way.
Yes.
If by throwing it open, a Southeasterner emerges as the most competent candidate, it's not by that was thrown open. It wasn't done by the PDP zoning convention, but yes, by being thrown open. Does that then, in your view, invalidate that Southeastern candidate or that Southern candidate?
I don't think so, but that would be a matter of detailed judgment by the court. You know, it will be an easier answer if a candidate from outside the South, you know, against the zoning and rotation provision emerges. That's where it will be a direct answer. Yes, it will invalidate it. But if a candidate from the South emerges, and of course, maybe within the process or before a judgment, if it's going to go that way, the party makes an announcement that, oh, well, we are wrong, we breached our constitution, we have, you know, undone what we did by throwing zoning away. So the party can take that out. This could also be part of generating a political resolution to a bad decision, a non-constitutional decision made by the party. So two things: if it went the other way, it will be a direct yes. If it went this way, it could be an indirect no, which you know, will be a matter of specifics of the judgment.
As an experienced politician, I'm a realist. You know, my Welt anschauen, as the Germans would say. I'm a realist. Now, as a realist, if I ask you this question,
yes,
do you, in all honesty, think for 1 second that the PDP that you know would for once want to rescind and go back on that decision already taken?
Yes, as a realist, and if the party leaders are really sincere in what they're doing as realists, we should be able to swallow our pride and seek to protect the unity and integrity of the party. Because doing otherwise will be disastrous. And that is also where the board of trustees of the party has a major role to play. According to the same constitution of the party, the Board of Trustees is the highest moral organ of the party, in the sense that it is instructed constitutionally to make sure that party's decisions are in tune with highest ethical and moral standards. So the PDP Board of Trustees can step in if the party NEC and National Working Committee is not able, by whatever reason they fashion, to reverse this decision. The Board of Trustees can, at the nick of time, advise the party and seek to implement that the party rescinds that decision. The Board of Trustees has the constitutional right and the moral obligation. The operative word in the constitution of the party is that the BOT has the moral burden to make sure that the party takes the right decisions. And part of the decisions includes the party respecting the constitutional provisions of the party. So there is a way out.
If the PDP goes ahead and takes back what they have done and reverts it, wouldn't that push up an argument of those who have paid 40-50 million to expression of interest form and the amount they have spent, say, well, I've been duped because obviously I shouldn't have bought this form if you told me ab initio. Is that what they might be running away from, refunding money that people have
well, that will not be administrative situation. Yes, the party, if you now say officially that a zone, you did rotation and somebody before you made that announcement erroneously bought from, the party has the moral obligation to refund them their money. Yes.
Okay. So
because they now wouldn't be seen to have participated in the election.
True. Let me come
no fault of theirs.
Okay. Let me come to Marcel here. There is this general notion that if PDP zones their party presidential ticket to the southeast, that they will not win the presidential election. Many I have read online have said that that is nothing but absolute arrant nonsense. But again, I want to say, from your experience and your exposure, what do you think of such comment?
See, Maazị, what I have known over time is that when it comes to politics, a lot of things are planted, a lot of emotions, a lot of people are advancing their own, and people put out information based on what benefits them at any point in time. So anybody saying that PDP cannot win elections when they present a southern candidate is probably just not, it doesn't have knowledge in terms of the voting pattern of southern candidates. If you look at the Atiku Obi ticket, let's assume we are running a very strong electoral process where the president does not appoint the INEC chairman, where INEC is totally independent, and where our electoral process is transparent, where every vote counts. You saw the shenanigan that went on even when announcing the results and all that. So the Atiku Obi ticket put to the front that PDP has a reach across the country, even when Atiku was not fully accepted in the north. If you look at the voting pattern, PDP lost most of its seats in the north, but the south provided the base onto which that election brought the numbers very, very close. And if not that maybe there are irregularities in that election, I would probably most likely tell you from my own experience that it could be a simple presidency of Atiku Obi. So PDP should have actually gone back and take that analysis and look at the numbers and realize that by feeding a southern candidate, they will consolidate their hold in the south and just go for the cleanup in the north. APC has performed woefully in the past 7 to 8 years, and even those people that rallied around the Buhari candidacy have all come to dissociate themselves from it. So Nigeria at this moment is looking for a very competent leader, someone that has shown leadership, someone that has shown that has like a previous proven experience of managing situations like Nigeria. P2B has presented himself in that light. Now, we are not pushing P2B that he's an Igbo candidate or he's from Mr. No, we're only saying that P2B has the competency across board. So if, let's assume in 2023, the ticket was supposed to be zoned to the north, we would look for a candidate in the north that has all the requisite characteristics of what our organization represents. And I want to give it to you now that if PDP zones their presidency to the south, the coalition of the South, South, Southeast, and the Southwest, plus an inroad into the current yearning of the North for a change. There are a lot of insecurity in the North. They have found out that a Northern president does not even solve their problem. In fact, a Northern president exacerbates their problem. We knew what the security situation was during Jonathan's time, being a Southern president, and we knew the kind of opposition that was mounted against Jonathan and the name calling. Now, a Northern president had been brought in, and for the past 7 years, things have exacerbated, things have gone out of control. So the North themselves had realized that it doesn't really matter who or where the president comes. They just want someone very, very competent. So Nigerians, as we speak now, just want to rescue their country. They don't want to hear whether this is a Northerner or this is a Southerner. They just want someone that has a competence. And any party that presents a very competent candidate will have a lot of millions of volunteers that will go to the ground to work for them. Nigeria just wants someone that will rescue the country. So PDP should leverage. There is what they call tide of times. You know, PDP zoning formula favors the South. Currently, PDP has one of the best aspirants that other parties are lobbying for him to come and run on their ticket. If you know the kind of number of party chairmen that have even contacted POSN as an organization to say we should talk to His Excellency, that they are ready to give him the party ticket, you'll be amazed. So PDP has a gold in his hands and they are playing with it. So it doesn't matter. PDP should obey their constitution. They should zone the party presidency accordingly, and they should allow the best candidate, which most Nigerians, as we speak now, go in the social media, go on ground and ask yourself, which candidate are Nigerians all rooting for? And PDP has that candidate. So I do not really know what is their problem. You have, it's just like in the Jonathan Buhari election, you know, a lot of people were rooting for Buhari. It simply made sense for APC at that time to zone it to the North and bringing a Buhari candidacy, because the general thinking was that Buhari is the man and everybody flowed. And if you look at the votes that brought Buhari, it was across both the North and the South. A repeat of it is going to happen in 2023, where people just want someone to rescue the country. And PDP should just do the right thing.
Okay. So I don't know if Ibe, Ike Ibe, if you're still there. I think those that take light have somewhat, the power holders are holding your powers. I can see that you've suddenly gone dark there. But if you can hear me, even if it's audio, that will be fine. Now, what would you think if, as a matter of, or let me rephrase it this way. Many have argued in the last week that the reason why PDP, your party, took the decision that they took is as a result of political expedience. I explain that the APC, as many are seeing now, have got some strong candidates, that the PDP shouldn't box themselves in a corner, rather let them throw it open, and that will give them a better chance to fight and take power from the APC. Do you agree with that thinking?
Who is the strong candidate in APC? Tell me, let me hear.
Well, you know, if you go across the streets, I don't think I read the papers more than you do. You should, you know, without mentioning any name, I think you should.
If you look at them, they all have baggages.
Well, Nigeria, it appears the more baggage you have, the more electable you are.
And that is what Nigerians are tired of. They don't want a president that will be held in hostage by those people that think that you have to have a baggage to become a president. Do you understand? The more baggage you have, the more you are likely to sell out the country. So, and I think Nigeria, see, most countries that have made progress, at a point they drew lines and they said, we are done. We don't care. We just want to move ahead. How many years will it take us as a country to decide to make that decision? How many years? And let me be honest to the current, and I want to speak to the current PDP delegates. Okay, see, if you don't do that, your children will question you. They will say, okay, Daddy, I understand you're a member of the delegates in 2023. This is the problem the country is having. This is what all the candidates have said. This is a candidate that has shown, do you know what they call someone having a previous working experience? See, Maazị, I'm not going to judge you by what you say. Okay, we have done that judgment in the past, and we have come to realize that talk is cheap. I will lead from the front. I will do this. I will do that. We've come to realize that talk is cheap, right? So we are only saying that judge from what the person has done in the past, antecedent, judge. And if you ask me why I didn't support some candidates, I will simply tell you that even in 2015, ask me why I didn't support some candidates. I'll simply tell you that I have looked at this for the past 30 years. They've not added any value to themselves. So for someone that has not added value to himself, how do I expect him to add value to me? And when we are talking at this present 2023, if you're judging from people's antecedents, who is the singular person that has done it before? See, there is something about I'm going there to experiment. And there's something about, look, I have done this before and I'm going to do it again. There are two different things. Okay. So when you are talking about APC candidates, I want to ask you, who is the APC candidate? What is their antecedents? What have they done in the past?
Well,
Let them bring it to the table.
Permit me to play the devil's advocate. We have a very erudite professor in the person of Professor Yemi Osibanjo. Yesterday, a friend of mine, Daniel Boala, forwarded me a video he made where he was trying to analyze some of these individuals. After his analysis, he posited that the former governor of Lagos State and the APC chieftain, Alhaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is the candidate to be it. Now, without us veering into the APC conversation, do you think that he's not a good candidate?
Maazị, you do not solve a problem by bringing the same thinking that created the problem in the first place. And that's my answer to it. It is a strategic thinking. You do not solve a problem by bringing back the same thinking that created the problem in the first place.
Okay, thank you very much. So, Honorable Ibe, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. So, if I push that question to you, do you think that the party or your party is making that decision based on political expedience in order to rattle and battle the election with the All Progressive Congress?
Well, it's not today that the party started contesting presidential elections. At each cycle of elections, there are issues that come up. At each cycle of elections, there are circumstances that rise up to determine how the party goes or how the party acts. But in all these circumstances, all these years, the party has always adopted its constitution. So why would it come to the point of a section of the country now benefiting from their hard work and their support of the party and rely on the constitution of the party? Why is it now that the party will now go 360 degrees turnaround? So no matter this, every election has circumstances, and party has a way of dealing with all the circumstances, also respecting its constitutional provisions. So that is where I'm worried about what the party is doing. There are so many people qualified and who are able to wade through the circumstances and issues that surrounds the elections in the country in the South that could be given the ticket, just like it has been done before in the North. This is a kernel of the problem. So even in future elections, there will be circumstances. People have issues they are dealing with. People have issues they are attacking in the party. So, but the main grounds is that it cannot come to the turn of a particular area and all of a sudden the party says, because of X and Y circumstances, we must jettison zoning and rotation. That is wrong.
Okay, thank you very much for that intervention. People, everyone watching, we have been having this conversation, and so far we have 40 minutes into this conversation. It is still the State of the Nation series, PDP jettisoning zoning, legal actions, and its implication for the 2023 elections as it concerns the PDP. And the panel of discussants this evening are Right Honorable Ike C Ibe, PDP member, former Speaker of the Imo State House of Assembly, who also sued the PDP for dropping zoning. I also have here Marcel Ngogbehei, who who is also the Director of Strategy and Mobilization, P2P Support Network, the POSN. Now, I would go to the public and take questions, from the public before we call it a day. We just have a couple of minutes. Now, if you are called upon to ask your question, please keep your question or your intervention to a maximum of 1 minute. Again, let me take from Gab Ibokwe. Gab, please, can you quickly unmute and ask your question? Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Gabriel Ibokwe. I'm speaking from London. I just want to know the working document that P2B, you see, from all indications, P2B is an excellent candidate. But what what working document is he going to work with in Nigeria? I mean, the Constitution.
Thank you very much. We'll leave that for the for my guest to answer. Now, both of you, can you kindly make note of that? And I take the next one. I have Benedict here. Benedict, quickly, can you unmute yourself and fire your question? Benedict, are you there? Okay.
Okay. Good afternoon. I've been following. Yeah. Good afternoon. I've been following. Though there's a noise at my background, but let me go straight to the. I am a national stakeholder of the PDP. I'm a member card carrying certificate holder, People's Democratic Party Rebrand Aid Group. I am aware of this case instituted by Right Honorable Ike C Ibe. And to be honest with you, we want to join this same suit with Ike C Ibe. But there is this thing we are waited for, which is the past meeting, the last next meeting, which just concluded. Today is Sunday and tomorrow is another day. We are going to contact Ike C Ibe, and with other groups will come together to move towards the PDP headquarters to demand that zoning. After which we will now know what will respond to you. In NJENJETV Media, you are doing well. And then I say to every other person in this forum that please, you people, whenever the message comes up, everybody should join hand. As long as we are protecting the Southeast presidency, we are coming out full force. And maybe we might actually disrupt that PDP primaries that we have, that will be held on the May 28th and 29th. Please, that's what I have to say. Please.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Nwachukwu Caesar, please. It's your turn to ask your question, please. Caesar Nwachukwu, afterwards, Ronke. Yeah. Sorry, yes, we did hear what you said. So, Nwachukwu, go ahead, please. Kindly unmute yourself. Then if Nwachukwu is not ready, Princess Ronke, please go ahead.
Yeah, good evening. And thank you for inviting me. My question is, in all honesty, do we think in this insecurity in our country presently, and an hatred, serious hatred for the South by the North, do we think we will forge ahead with this election in 2023? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ronke. Princess Ronke is saying if we are going to forge ahead as a result of what she terms hatred here. Now, I would start with Ike C Ibe. I would want you to, the 3 questions, or rather 2 questions, if you would take these questions before we round up, please.
All right, if I can take the last question, can we really hold elections in the midst of the hatred we have? Well, every 4 years, there is a government. And if the government, either by actions they take or actions they don't take, by policies they introduce or policies they ought to introduce and they don't introduce, if by these actions the country, begins to go through a lot of pains, that is why opportunity is available for those governments to be voted out of office. So, and this is the opportunity that the 2023 election presents. If majority of Nigerians believe that the government is not doing well, they have the opportunity to participate in the electoral process and vote them out. The fact that there are problems, there is confusion, there is hatred and all whatnot, does not prevent elections from taking place. In fact, it is elections taking place that will now enable steps or actions that will come into play to bring in new governments that will solve the problems of the nation. So I believe the elections will go on in spite of the challenges. INEC has assured Nigerians that they are ready for the elections. They have the resources they need. They have the logistics they need. So there is no reason why elections will not take place. So I believe it will take place.
Thank you very much. So Marcel, there, to the questions that was asked.
Okay, I would like to look at the questions about issues raised about what working documents would P2B be working with. You know, from a strategy perspective, we have done a serious analysis on the Nigerian Constitution, Nigeria as a nation, and what it requires to make a change or to bring things up. And there are just two options that are available. Is either you go through the political process or you go through the military process. You go through the military action process. That means you probably declare war. So the political process means you work within the current confine of the political way, and then you try to bring about change. And the military component means that you'll probably go and acquire military might and invade the country and change the leadership and then institute change. So we have always advocated the political process. So the 1999 Constitution, no matter how flawed it is still a document that we work with. And one thing people do not understand is that the 1999 Constitution gives the president of the country enormous powers. Look at what Obasanjo did during his time and look at what Buhari is currently doing, where you probably do not question him. So we should now talk within ourselves. We should work towards putting in someone that has a mindset of introducing the kind of changes that we want, or we should put someone that we know can help us build the kind of country that we have. So if the person sits in Aso Rock, we are now expecting him to use the enormous powers of the presidency to bring about those changes that we want to bring in as a country. But as long as you do not join in putting that person in power, you should be ready to take whatever comes to you by anybody that sits in that place. So what we're basically saying is that look at all the candidates, as flawed as the 1999 Constitution is, look at all the candidates, think of who is the best person that can readily implement the things or the policies or the kind of initiatives or the kind of changes you think you want as a country, and let's push that person forward. And from there, we will start the change that we will require. Believe me, 1999 Constitution can be changed if we have a very strong president. We know the processes, two-third voting and all that. Obasanjo has done something similar. Buhari is currently doing that. I mean, you'll be shocked how many times that Constitution has been changed during Buhari tenure. So a very strong president that has a good and citizen-focused initiative can actually bring the kind of change that we need.
Okay, thank you very much. Then I think more people have raised their hand. Let me take another go. And if you can make note of the questions that they will be bringing to you. Now, the first person here is Isidiho Alphonsus, please. 1 minute. Go ahead.
Hello, the moderator. I thank everyone who has made that time to be here to listen to this issue. And I appreciate the comments by earlier speakers. But my own stake is the issue of whether this election is going to hold or not might solely be on the head of the ruling government now. But what Ike Ibe is pursuing, according to the constitution of PDP, is that this is the time to zone presidential candidate to the east. And since the zoning has been operational since PDP started operating, why would it be this time that is zoned to the east that they want to avoid the constitution? So it's very bad on the part of Nigerians, the way we treat constitutions and agreements. And I strongly support Ike Ibe in his views that PDP should adhere strictly to their constitution and zone the presidency to the east. Is left to the contestants in the east to make up their mind, get together and do their selection and raise a candidate and say, okay, this is the candidate we want to present.
Thank you very much.
And then the people can now rally around the selected candidate and push PDP forward. So it's absurd for PDP to do this because they know it's time for the East to produce president by their constitution.
Okay.
That is my own contribution.
Thank you
gentlemen.
very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much, Alfonso. Thank you for
Yes.
your intervention. And Mike, please, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. My contribution will be to say that from my own limited observation, it appears the 2023 election has been rigged even before it started. I do not want to go to the nitty-gritty of this zoning system, but I would like the panel or all of us here to think about what Afe Babalola said, that this is the time for Nigeria to stop and think and organize a constitution, do away with this constitution, draft another constitution and call it interim government so that we can start. Because whoever, even if P2B gets in, all the loopholes, all the in National Assembly, everything is loaded against him. He won't succeed. That is when the real politics will be played. Everything they will hold him down. It might be lame dog. So I feel the best thing to do is what Afe Babalola suggested. Let us write a new constitution now, have an interim government within the next 6 months or whatever, and then before we start, this is the place to stop and think. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mike. I listened to my elder Baba Rola there, but also Tony Nadi from Ninas has also given an extensive response to him. But again, one thing that really baffles me when we put up this argument is, if we have failed in the last 8 years to revamp, redo, anything, right? We have failed in the last 8 years to do it. I do not know. Osadebe in Igbo will say, over time he who cannot do anything with his wages. Is it when he does overtime that he can now blow up the moon? But again, that's only my view. I'll allow that for my guests to eventually have their say. I have someone from Plateau State just joining us now, and Santos Larap. Santos Larap, please, can you make your intervention, please?
Thank you very much. I just came up with my picture, but I've been part of the discussion and the conversation by the guests. So let me start with commending Ike, Marcel from POSN, and then Ike, and then the Maazị, and then all others who have contributed. The second point that I want to make quickly is that in this game, we should be able to distinguish between what is the most important election. Is it a primary election or a secondary election? That's a question mark. It will take me to my question properly, but you will link it to that. The third thing I have to say is that we need to also remove issues of emotions and sentiments and get our minds reject in a way to bring about Peter Obi as the president of this country. When you begin to talk about issues that are not tenable and not realistic, we find out that it takes time and it gets people angry. The truth about it is that Peter Obi is not Igbo. Peter Obi is a realist, and Peter Obi is a person who can remove and take Nigeria to a different level. And that is why I have said this.
Oh dear. I think the network there, a Nigerian, or rather I'll put the same malice has happened to him. Sorry, can you go ahead and unmute yourself? For some reason, you came back and you came back muted. Please unmute yourself. Santos, are you still there? Can you unmute yourself, please?
Yeah, I have. Can you hear me?
30 seconds, can you quickly round up?
Yes, I will, in 30 seconds. The other part, before...
For some reason, they do not want you.
I get it. So let...
Sorry, I'm deeply sorry about that, but your network did not play along with you. I have Nwachukwu Caesar. That's the second time. Please kindly unmute and have your intervention, please. We are rounding up now.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone.
Go ahead.
Okay. I wanted to ask this question at the same time. I think it's a statement that we should consider. Don't we think that pushing this narrative that the zoning thing should favor the Southeast or not is not something we should set aside now and focus on campaigning for this candidate. One, if we succeed in getting this even through the courts, are we not also sure that we will lose the support of the North? Because what makes them not want to jump ship, even if we win this thing at the courts, and they all decide to decamp from the PDP, leaving us alone on the PDP? So
okay.
I like what the last, yes.
Thank you very much. But without answering for my guest, but I would say, where then is the sense of fairness? Why didn't the Southeast jump ship when it was zoned to other zones, or rather the South? Because I think we must be very careful here. The PDP power rotation is between North and South. Now, when it comes to a particular region, North or South, they could do the microzoning. So let's not mix two things here. But, you know, for someone, sorry, but I will find it slightly a little bit strange that, you know, something that is in your constitution since 1999, you adhere to it, that would upset some people to run away. So when they were enjoying it and, you know, reaping the fruit of it, why didn't they run away? But anyway, I have someone also here joining us. You know, he's been very, very vocal on this issue. He has spoken on this matter and, you know, in so many national televisions. I have the privilege to invite Dr. Law Mefo. Dr. Law Mefo, Anwe Yagu, we have spoken extensively on this matter. Now, you have, you know, obviously you have listened to what the speakers have said. And now, what is your view on this issue of zoning? Can you again reaffirm what you've been saying and what you have taken and extensively written about? Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Maazị Ezeoke, for your tenacity. You have been committed to this cause and related causes, you know, trying to get things better for everybody. And you know, the fact remains that no matter how we look at it, the thinking of the PDP is that an Igbo man cannot win presidential election, and they want to send the ticket to the North. This is very clear. And even if they do not want to do that directly, you know that if you check the distribution of the delegates, those coming from the northern part of the country, they are nearly 60%. So if they strike a consensus, getting the 4 key presidential aspirants from the North to step down for one of them, and they will house all their delegates, certainly the North will take the ticket. So it's as simple as that. And in 2009, I'm sure this point has been made. Since 2009, PDP amended its constitution and wrote into it the principle of rotation of presidential power between North and South Nigeria. And because it is a constitutional matter, PDP should not be allowed to just jettison it based on a decision made by its National Executive Council. National Executive Council cannot set aside the constitution of the PDP. It has to be done at a convention. That is what they must do. If they don't want the court to nullify whoever they are putting forward that is not from the South, they have to set aside that section, I think section 175 of their constitution. If they do so, they will be free to go on and throw the presidential ticket open. If nobody goes to court on this matter, I will. I'm very serious about this. I want to test this in court. I have said this severally, and I'm repeating it on your platform. The reason is this: for fairness, fair play, unity, and all, the ticket of the PDP must come south. And coming south, it has to go to the Southeast because that is the zone that hasn't produced the president of the country since 2009 from southern Nigeria. That is just as simple as that. If they zone their ticket to the southeast and pick somebody like P2B, he will win. Why not? He cuts across. I wrote an article about P2B where I said that P2B bestrides both zoning and merit. P2B is okay. He cuts across. All the online polls, he led by more than 60% in all, without exception. Even the ones hosted by aspirants. You know, AIT had to shut down their own polling because P2B's winning was stretching and escalating to the point that it was becoming scandalous and embarrassing to them. Now, having said this, I want to draw our attention to something. You know, PDP set up the zoning committee twice. The first one was led by our son, Governor Ugwuanyim. Governor Ugwuanyim's committee, you know, zoned all the offices, and they said that they were not supposed to zone the office of the president and that of the vice. That was the beginning of our problem. If Ugwuanyim stood his ground as the chairman of that committee and zoned out all the offices, if you zone chairman to north, you zone president to south, in line with the constitution. Our son, Ugwuanyim, said no, that they are not asked to. If they say you shouldn't zone the office of the president and vice, then you resign from the job. Now, autumn committee came up. I want to draw our attention to something. Autumn committee has 37 members. Out of these 37 members, 17 or 18 came from southern Nigeria. And yet, when they finished their job, Autumn said, he briefed the press and said that the committee anonymously, you know, underline that word. That means that all the southern representatives in that committee voted that the presidential ticket should be thrown open. The question then is, what were those men doing there to protect the southern strategic interests? And particularly, those of them that represented the Southeast, somebody like Professor ABC Nwosu represented Anambra State. I want to know why somebody like Nwosu would vote that the PDP presidential ticket should be thrown open to all.
I think,
so when
sorry, Anu Iago, sorry here.
Yes.
I'm aware, at least 2 weeks ago, the conversations that I was privy to, Professor ABC Nwosu actually did not agree to that. Professor ABC Nwosu was the only person that actually cautioned Autumn to say that that wasn't what they agreed.
You see, Maazị Ezeoke, there is no minority report as we speak. All the southern representatives, if they voted against, should call a press conference and tell Nigerians that they are not part of what Autumn submitted to the NEC. Look, if you go to the NEC communique, item number 2 says that the NEC is accepting and aligning itself with the recommendation of the Autumn Committee. Until today, there is no minority. Nobody has said, none of them that's represented the southern part of Nigeria, including ABC Nwosu, has repudiated that recommendation of the committee. As long as they keep quiet, as long as they are not ready to repudiate that report and insist on PDP zoning their presidential ticket to southern Nigeria and ultimately to southeast Nigeria, they are complicit. They are part that betrayed eastern Nigeria. So nobody should blame just the PDP. We should blame ourselves. We should blame our political leaders who have remained traitors. They should be called out traitors for what they are. That's who they are. They betrayed our people. Go and look for the list of the representatives of southern Nigeria on Autumn Committee and call them all up. challenge them to call a press conference. I can pay for it. I can arrange for a press conference for them in Abuja here, for them to repudiate that report. And until we begin to look at issues that way, we will never get this thing right. The place started from our place. So if we don't get the ticket, the Southeast political leaders defeated the process. I'm aware that Ibazo of Abia, Ugwanyim of Enugu State, are supporting Wike. Is it not true? When their own zone is fighting for the ticket. And you know that it is the governors that control the delegates. What this means is that the Southeast Nigerian aspirants on the platform of the PDP have already lost Ebonyi and Enugu State. And we are here saying what? What are we really saying when we're not calling out the traitors, the people that have destroyed our chances, of clinching the presidential seat in 2023? Let us think inward. What makes the shrew, Nkaku, what makes it to smell is under its own skin. That is where I end my intervention.
Thank you very much there. Thank you.
Maazị, if I can make a very quick correction in 1 second.
Yes, go ahead.
About the 37-man zoning committee of the party. I know the representative of Imo State in that committee, Ozi Chukwuchukwu, was vehemently against throwing the ticket open. And he submitted a 5-page memo on that, backed up by constitutional provisions, history, tradition of the party. So I just want to make sure that it is clear that he didn't support throwing the ticket open, and he made it clear publicly.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that intervention. And the last person that I'm going to take on this matter, hold on, Marcel, before you intervene. The last person I'm going to take on this matter will be the Amazon of the Niger Delta, Ankyo Briggs. Now, I want to hear from you what you think about these things that we've been discussing. Sister, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Well, Maazị, at least you definitely know where I stand in all of this. I think before anybody started this thing, I had already made my position very clear.
I think I will add a prophetess to your name.
I had made my position very clear on this. Now I speak as a voter. I speak as an electorate and a rights activist. Now, PDP as a political party has not only failed Nigerians as a whole and their members and the people that may not be their members, but would vote for them if the voter agrees with either the candidate or the positions that they propose. Now, my disturbance, what bothers me is that the PDP as a political party in the last 8 years failed woefully to play the role of opposition party, play it in the way and manner in which the APC that eventually emerged literally less than 2 years before the 2015 election and took power from the PDP. That's one aspect of failure for me, coming from the PDP. The second aspect of it, which is very bothersome, is that the PDP jumped on the bandwagon, and that includes all the southern PDP governors shouting at sometime last year, which in my consideration was even late, that the power should shift to the south. They did not put their houses in order in their zones, and they did not put the PDP in order. Why do I say this? I say this because you cannot come out and be shouting, it must come to the south, when within the south, you have not even agreed on the issue of where it should go in the south. And this is where a lot of people criticize me, and I don't, it doesn't bother me, but the south Southwest has done 8 years in this dispensation that started with Obasanjo. So for me, when it comes to the Southwest should not even be considering going for it. That's one. Two, it came to the South by providence, because we didn't kill Yaradua. He unfortunately died. And Jonathan took over for 1 year to finish Yaradua's tenure and was voted in for 4 years. That is 5 years. So whichever way you look at it, the Southwest has had 8 years. The South has had 4, plus the constitutional 1, which you cannot give to us because it was not elected. And then the Southeast has not had any. So I had said, and you and I have had this in private conversation, that I saw no reason why the Southwest, the Southeast, and the South over the past 8 years had not sat down as people of this region, Southern region, that is so oppressed by the cabal in the North, and did not agree before they went to the Market Square to dance to the tune of the power must shift to the South. So now what is happening is the South is dancing naked. They are absolutely naked. The Southwest wants it. I don't know how many candidates there are. The South wants it. I don't know how many candidates there are. And the Southeast wants it. I don't know how many candidates there are. Some are better than the other. Nobody is arguing about that. And I also do agree that any political party, whether it's the PDP or APC, does not believe that an Igbo man can win election in Nigeria. They do not believe it. And so they do not do anything to support an Igbo candidate truly. So they end up with this, we end up with this argument, with this discussion. A few months to election, we are discussing whether it is going to come to the Southeast or go to the Southwest or South-South. Look, if the Southeast believes it is agreed, and if they believe it, I will support them. But if they don't believe it, then I can't fight their fight. But if they believe that they are agreed, why don't we consider them moving to another party like APGA? Let everybody who wants to run from PDP, if they feel that they've been hard done by, let them move to another party. Look, we must begin to take positions that are painful, because if they don't pick Peter Obi, for instance, as it is being clamored for, then it means that Peter Obi has lost out on PDP. So I'm saying, therefore, that we must make a decision as a people, as painful as it is, whether we're going to participate in this election as Southerners or we're not going to participate. But let me quickly end by this, that this election, and I told you this, Maazị, in our private conversation, that this election of 2023 is been fixed, it's been had, and the results is just waiting to be called. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much on that. Now, sorry, every other person raising their hands. I think that's the much we can take. What is going to happen now? I need to bring back my guests to take the 3 questions posed here. One is if election would actually hold, and a person supporting Ibe, and the other one says if election has been if election will be suspended, that the election is already rigged, and the other saying if we can set aside this argument about zoning. Now, you are having your concluding thoughts. In these, your concluding thoughts, my 2 guests, I would want you to factor in your answers. If, at the end of the day, the lawsuit by C Ibe, if it goes ahead, do you think that PDP will be dead in the southeast or the southern Nigeria if they loses out in 2023? That is my question to you both. So, Ibe, are you there? Can you take that on, please?
I'm challenged by the rain. I don't know if you can hear me very well.
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. Now, can you tell me the last bit of the question?
The last bit of my question is, will PDP die or will zoning kill PDP by 2023, if not adhered to?
Yes, there's a possibility of that happening. And if you recall my opening statement, I did say part of the reasons why I filed this lawsuit is also to save PDP from explosion or implosion. If a party explodes because of reasons like this, is usually very difficult to handle. Recall something like this happened a few years ago when some members of PDP also stumbled out of PDP and formed what they call NPDP, which was part of the reasons part of the ways that APC was formed as a party. So if the party does not really take care of this stand they have taken now, it is possible that the party could implode, and that is going to be a very certain. PDP has a very good opportunity to take over the next government because Nigerians are crying and complaining everywhere. And if PDP does the impunity that the current government is doing, then Nigerians will say, is this what we are going to see if PDP come out? So it is in the best interest of the party to make sure that this problem is solved. And that is where also, because the NEC has taken a stand, this is where the Board of Trustees must take a position as the constitution of the party says the Board of Trustees members are the moral conscience of the party. And their major responsibility is to make sure that the integrity of the party is protected nationally. And this is something that is threatening the integrity of the party. If they don't take a definitive step and address this, it is possible that the party could crash. This is very possible. And that is what I don't want to do. And that is part of the reasons why we are in court.
Thank you very much. Once more, that is the contribution of Right Honorable Ike C Ibe, PDP member, former Speaker of the Imo State House of Assembly, who also sued the PDP on dropping the zoning that they had in their constitution. Now, I would have the last word from Marcel Ngogbehei, the Director of Strategy and Mobilization, P2B Support Network, POSN. Marcel, you have the last word. Now, in your final submission, I would want you also to take into account the question that I posed to former Speaker, will zoning kill PDP? And if, again, your principal, Mr. P2B, by any chance that he's been edged out, what will be the strategy behind the P2B Support Network? Are you going to urge him to move, as our sister, the Amazon of the Niger Delta here said, move into party like APGA, or what would it be? Do you see a situation where the youth, that when you come on Twitter now, P2B for the last 2 months, trending every single day. It has never happened in this country organically. None of them is being sponsored, that a candidate trends for close to 2 months. Do you see a situation where if the children, or rather if the younger ones, the NSAS generation, are denied this yearning, that they might give up on Nigeria, or that they might actually punish PDP for that action?
Okay, Maazị, thanks so much. One of the things I want to implore every one of us here is to find a way to get involved, because you would not know exactly what is happening until you get involved. This is me volunteering pro bono for P2B Support Network. And within the time I have volunteered as the Director of Strategy, I have been exposed to quite a lot of things and a lot of information. Currently, I'm the chairman of the coalition of P2B groups. So a list of all the groups in Nigeria that is currently working for P2B on a pro bono, young people that have volunteered. I was elected as a chairman. And I can tell you that there is a planned 1 million man march that will happen tentatively. The date is on the 21st. And what that 1 million man march is meant to do is youths are coming out from different parts of the country, north, south, east, west, to say, we want to rescue our country. And that should send a very strong message to the political leadership that they can no longer take people for granted. And one of the things we're beginning to tell Nigerians is this: we need to now get involved from the grassroots level. We need to find a way to be member or part of a delegate, because we have seen that the way the party politics in Nigeria works is that the nominations and elections starts from the grassroots. So you are elected as a delegate from a local government, and then you come all the way to the top, and then you form part of that. Now, we're doing this because we believe it is the political process that will bring about change. So the question about whether the case will then set aside PDP, let me tell you something. When somebody steals your money, when somebody comes and grabs your money and steals it, and there is no imminent threat that you're going to find a way to recover your money, the person will enjoy the loot. But if the person now gets to understand that you have taken steps to want to recover that money, the person might either have two options. Either he loses out entirely and come in for a fight, or he retraces his step and avoid a total destruction. So what we have set in motion is to put PDP on notice that they're headed to a total destruction, and all the signs are pointed to it. So if PDP are being led by very smart and responsible people, the only thing we expect them to do, maybe the board of trustees, to come back and say, you know what, this decision was an error. We are coming back to baseline. And what I want to say again is this: I think we should be smart to know when we are being deceptively led. So when the rotation presidency in 2019 decided to zone the presidency to the north, doesn't that mean automatically that the other one will have to come to the south? So why do we have to set up another committee to come back to us and tell us where would this zoning go? And that was where we missed it entirely. These things are automatic. They are not negotiable. So if I have taken a decision in 2019 I've taken a decision in 1999 to go south, and then afterwards I went north, and afterwards I went south, and afterwards I went north, and then you are now asking me to come and set up a committee to determine where it will go. That is where the deceptive propaganda started. And that is where the PDP members missed it. They would have simply come and say, look, there's no need for this. This is automatic. We have already listed it. But what we are now saying is that if they do not do that, their hands will be forced. We simply need to ensure that people that have looted this country are not being allowed to enjoy the loot. You know, those days when I was small, when somebody grabs your food and you can't beat the person, you simply pack sand and pour on top of the food. He won't eat it, I won't eat it. So we are simply telling PDP to do that which is right. We don't want them to self-destruct. Okay.
So in the Nigerian street parlance, what if, from your analogy, my takeaway here is that if they don't give it to your principal, you people are going to pack sand and pour in their galley.
It is not about packing sand and pouring in their galley. It is about the fact that we are advising them now to do the needful. See, somebody said, okay, what if he goes to what if we end up getting it, and then the northern side decides to pull away? People that are currently pushing for PDP candidacy actually ran away at a point. They all joined another party, thinking that the party is going to go into extinction, right? PDP is a very magnanimous party. They came back. But what we're saying is that magnanimity should reflect in them being able to zone the presidency to the right place where it belongs. You cannot be magnanimous to some people at a point and then decide to now come back and make people that have supported you for over 23 years.
Thank you.
And you tell them at this point that you're throwing the zoning open.
So thank you very much. It has been a fantastic conversation for the last hour and 25 minutes. We have way exceeded the time. But again, I do have someone here that I want to give the honor. That is Professor Femi Olufemilade, who is also a presidential candidate under the SDP. He has raised his hand. Professor Femi, if you don't mind, because obviously we are out of time.
Yeah, good afternoon, Maazị.
Yeah, if you may quickly make a 1 minute intervention. So let's...
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead, Prof.
Okay, I thank you for this grace. My contribution is that the focus on PDP as the platform to actualize the emergence of a president of unable extraction is quite logical, because that is one party that is national, where the Igbos have asserted their presence over the years. But as it turned out now, the logical thing is not being done by other stakeholders in the party. And I was thinking that there should, those who are thinking for Ndi ought to have a plan B. So at the risk of preempting them, I am thinking perhaps if Peter Obi loses, because it's a possibility, why then not think of rallying behind somebody like Kingsley Moghalu where he is? Or if we say Moghalu is not as popular as Peter Obi is the most popular Igbo politician across the ethnic divides today, and it will have been the best foot forward. What does Peter Obi himself have a plan B, like alternative party? Does he have a party where maybe he could, be accepted to run? Because the important
Prof, let me not preempt you here. Are you saying that since you are a candidate in the SDP, that you are offering your position that if Peter Obi does not emerge in the PDP, that you are yielding to him to come over to SDP? Is that what you are trying to say?
I am not. There are 18 political parties. There is not only APC, PDP. SDP is just one. And some of them, if you go and look on INEC website, you discover that quite a lot of them were formed by Indigo. And some of them, they are share Zenith Labour Party, quite a lot of them. So it doesn't have a shortage of options in that regard. But for me, if I happen to emerge the candidate of my party, I believe even if I contest and become president, my intention is to run a government of national unity. I said without constitutional amendment, I'm going to make my vice president a prime minister. So if you want to still work on the PDP thing, you can have a kind of arrangement whereby even if it's Atiku that emerges and Peter Obi will run with him, we can tell him that, look, so portfolios will be under the VP's office. It's done in a lot of African countries where you've had this type of crisis. So that it won't just be like it's been done in Zimbabwe, it's been done in Kenya and other, whereby you say, Obi, in addition to being vice president, will be minister of finance. And there will be a number of things. It will be signed. So it's not so that the president himself will know that this is classical case of power sharing.
Thank you very much.
So that can also be done.
Thank you very much, Prof. It's it's wonderful. It's always wonderful to share ideas with you. Indeed, a wonderful time we have all spent here. Exactly an hour 30 minutes. Everyone, I said to you, thank you for being part of this conversation today. It's been my pleasure, Maazị Ezeoke here, to host you on this State of the Nation series, PDP Jettisoning zoning, legal actions taken, and its implication for the 2023 presidential election. You have heard Ike C Ibe there give us reason why he thought that it wasn't right for PDP to do what they have done, and he has actually taken legal action to address that. We also heard from Marcel Ngogbehei, the Director of Strategy and Mobilization from PDP Support Network, who also told us their thinking within these organizations. Every other person who have spoken here, we had Dr. Lomefo, who also gave insight and squarely blamed the 17 members of the committee that really looked into this and said, well, what were they doing if 17 of them are from the South? Also, our sister, the Amazon of the Niger Delta, who before anyone started talking about zoning this to the Southeast, she has been in the forefront. She has granted several interviews, several videos that she's made on this topic. And today, she's still standing there. The only thing that she has added is, if push comes to shove, there must be a plan B. On that note, I would say, We can stay here all night, all day discussing this, but it has been my pleasure to be your anchor and your host this evening. What we are going to do is that since this is a national question, it is a continuous thing that is going to be, it keeps reoccurring, and this conversation will not stop from today. We will keep having these conversations. Join us next weekend as we will be treating another topic that is much related to this. From here, I say to all of us, thank you once more for being part of it. I am Maazị Ezeoke, and this is NJENJETV TV. For many of you who are not following us on our various social media handles, please, on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and on Twitter, please do follow us in NJENJETV there. For some of you who are here on this Zoom connection, on the comment section are these various social media handles, especially the Telegram group, where you can be part of this conversation when we take this conversation offline. On that note, I say thank you once more for being part of this conversation. My name is still Maazị Ezeoke, and I say good evening once more, and thank you.